Hi, I am Elysium and welcome to my channel. In last week's video, we had a look at some of the underpinning values of the utopian development. We looked at the utopian laws, which are a set of 10 principles which lay out how the technology works. So we looked at this and there were a few extra treats thrown in. So if you didn't get a chance to have a look at that video, then I would recommend it. We also threw in a massive lie, and I'm shocked to report that nobody spotted it. Now, I'm not going to tell you what it was because the challenge is still on. I would like you to try and spot last week's massive lie, but I also want you to try and spot this week's massive lie. And when you've done it, I want you to stick it in the comments. I can't wait to hear from you. Thank you so much to everybody who commented. We had lots of really lovely, heartwarming messages from last week's video, not just messages on the YouTube channel, but also through Twitter and email as well. So thank you ever so much for everybody who has got in touch. Thank you as well to the new subscribers that are coming on board. It's wonderful to have you here. It genuinely does mean a lot. Thank you. So this week, you will notice I've got my voice back almost entirely. I'm feeling a lot more human as well. So that's wonderful. We have joining us Andrew. It is so good to see you again. My good friend, colleague, business partner, co-creator, co-collaborator. How are you?
Good day to you, Elysium, and I'm good, thank you. I hope you had a really good Christmas. What did you get up to?
Thank you. It was awesome. There was a big family Christmas dinner. I think there were 10 of us all together. Actually 11, because the cat decided that she was going to join in and steal some leftovers off the table, which was hilarious. So yeah, it was raucous. And we had this amazing adventure on Boxing Day where we all went up to an old ruined castle and had a really cool explore. So that was fun. How about you?
It was very quiet, yeah, it was very quiet, but it was good, and I'm very glad to get back to YouTopian and Scribal and our wonderful adventure.
Peaceful. That's something to be grateful for. And I am also excited to be back at work. In the UK, it's a bank holiday today. It's Tuesday. It's a bank holiday. We had another bank holiday yesterday. It was Christmas and Boxing Day over the weekend. So I'm kind of looking forward to things getting back into the normal swing of things.
So today is Boxing Day, Boxing Day?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Boxing Day squared.
Yeah. Well, Boxing Day cubed, actually. But
yeah, maybe. Okay, so this week we are talking about salt and pepper. Now, I'm not talking about the delicious additions to your festive tables or any table, actually. We're talking about the virtual currency, which is native to utopian platforms. And the reason that we're talking about it is because, first of all, it's awesome. And second, we probably need to give it some explanation so that you understand how it works. So we're going to be looking at why salt, why did we call it salt and pepper, what it is, what it does, how it can be used, and how you can get your hands on some. So, Andrew, let's take it back to the early days of utopian development. So do you remember when we started talking about the utopian platform, and you were talking about how you had this idea for a system which stored people's the products of their expended energy, if you like. So people's assets, things that people created, things that people had done, were all tied together in one place. And then we started talking about how those assets and how those skills could be traded between different people and bartered. And I'd forgotten until we were talking before we made this video about how originally we were setting up the idea for a bartering platform. And then as we investigated the mechanics of doing that, we realized that bartering is great, apart from the fact that you need to have perfect timing and you need to have people who have the goods or services ready to barter exactly at that moment. Otherwise, if you don't, you need to have some kind of ledger system, some way to store the value of whatever that person has created or done in order to call on that at the right moment when you're ready to do an exchange. And I suppose actually that's pretty much where the concept of money came from.
Yeah, I think the video that we did last week with the little cartoon of the hunter and the farmer.
And the farmer, yeah, Yuri's video.
Yeah, so I mean that's a good example of exactly what you were just talking about. I mean, another problem with bartering, it's not just timing, it's setting a value. One of the big things that always comes back on bartering platforms is how do you say, right, this is what a haircut is worth next to this is what on your website is worth. So the original idea was to have a bartering platform, but all of the research and development that we did when we were writing the papers suggested that that was not going to work on its own. We needed to have something in there that underpinned it. What we didn't want was to create an economy that was debt-based. And so if we think about, for example, the economy in the UK, it's a debt-based economy. That's not calling it names, that's what it is. You have to have debt for the economy to work. We don't have debt in Utopian. So we wanted to create something that also was around the first utopian law, which we discussed in last week's video about people being the most durable store of wealth, or the most durable store of, in our case, energy, because we talk about energy in Utopian. And for us, energy could be anything from skills, talents, experience, knowledge, right the way through to just being kind, being compassionate, just being something, expending some energy, being proactive, doing something. Salt and pepper allows us to measure that. We have salt and pepper tied into our total state of presence algorithm, our TSOP points. So absolutely everything that you do in a utopian community scores you salt and pepper. Whether that's joining, logging in, putting a bio into your profile, putting a photo into your profile, visiting people's profiles and having a look at them, talking to people, posting to the libraries, posting to the community, social boards, you name it, you literally are getting salt and pepper currency for that, which you can then use not only in Scribal, but you will be able to use across all utopian platforms in future too.
Now, I know we spent a long time talking about this, writing about it, and obviously it has been programmed into the system. And I shouldn't be amazed and excited when it works, because, you know, this is where it started. It was our idea. But
I'm amazed too. I mean,
it's so cool.
When we wrote about it, it was just theory, you know. And originally, when we first started, I wanted to call the currency potatoes, but you talked me out of it. You said, no, you can't have potatoes. It has to be something else. So we perhaps should talk a little bit about where the name came from, why we called it salt and pepper.
Okay, now this is important. Okay, so we had this idea to create this credit system that would keep track of everything that had been done and the value of it, and keep it on a ledger. And we did play around with a list of different names. And, you know, every time one of us came up with something, it was like, what about this? Nah, like, no, we can't call it that. And then in the end, one of us said salt. And it was because salt had previously, in way back in history, been used as a method of payment, as an early form of money. It was the Roman soldiers, wasn't it, who were paid in salt. And that led to the word salary coming into existence. So it was a very important concept even back then. So yes, salt is what it ended up being. Salt is actually one of the most incredible substances that we take for granted, I suppose. Salt, sodium chloride, NaCl, is its chemical symbol. It's something which occurs naturally. It is something that you can mine from the ground, but of course it's ever present in the seas, the oceans around us. And it's such a phenomenal substance. Our own human bodies can't exist without at least some sodium in them.
Which ties really nicely with the whole idea of us storing and being a durable store of wealth, because salt is inside of us.
It's one of our essential elements, absolutely. And it represents our energy. And of course, without it, we cannot use our own energy of our body. It's essential for balancing the fluid levels within our body, to regulate the blood pressure. It helps our muscles move. It helps nerve function. It helps our essential organs work properly. Without enough salt in our bodies, we don't work. And then there are other things as well. There are lots of terms in our language which relate to the importance of salt in our cultures, I suppose. Salt of the earth, meaning somebody who is true and honest and good, but also to be worth one's weight in salt. So literally this idea of weighing against salt and that being able to mark your value.
But if I was to ask you though, I mean, what would you rather your value be measured in? Are you worth gold? Are you worth diamonds? Or would you say that actually I would be better to say that your worth is in salt?
Well, that's a very interesting question, because obviously gold and diamonds would be nice, right? I'm not going to say no to those. But I have a little story for you which may exemplify exactly that. Are you ready for me to play my homemade animation?
I can't wait. I've been looking forward to this all day.
I think you're going to like it.
A long time ago, in a castle far, far away, lived a king who asked his daughters a very important question. Now, my daughters, I ask you to tell me all how much you love me. Oh, Father, I love you like all of the gold in the kingdom. Very good, my child. I love you like all the diamonds in the kingdom. Very good, my child. I love you like all the salt. Yeah, all the salt in the kingdom. What? What is this? Salt? You love me like salt? Get out! Get out! Oh dear. And so the princess was banished into the dark woodland, where luckily she met the merchant. Oh dear, so this is how it feels to be banished from the kingdom. Oh, hi. You okay? No, not really. I had a fight with my dad. You see, he said he wanted to know how much me and my sisters loved him. And I said I loved him as much as all the salt in the kingdom. Yeah. And then he banished me. Do you want to come and live with me? Yeah. Yeah. So the princess went to live with the merchant in his forest house. One day the merchant met the king in the forest and invited him back for dinner. So, how was your meal? Well, I hope you know that I am the king, and I have to be honest with you, merchant. That meal was terrible. It was one of the worst meals I have ever had in my whole life. Do you know why? No. Well, perhaps I will, get my wife to come and explain? Yes, please do. Father, it is me. I am the merchant's wife. What? My daughter? Yes, Father, it is many years since you banished me from the kingdom for telling you that I loved you as much as salt. And, you know that meal I just cooked for you? Well, it didn't have any salt in. And that's why it tasted really disgusting. Oh, my child, I am so sorry. All of these years you have lived away from the castle, and now I understand my mistake. Please forgive me. Well, you were a bit stupid, but okay. And at last the king was a wise king, understanding the importance of salt to all of our lives.
So there we go, Andrew. I bet you didn't expect to see yourself appearing on screen like that.
I thought Warner Brothers would be proud of you. And just a bit of name dropping, because we like to name drop some of our members. So Gordon, if you're watching, I think if you'd have done it, you'd have had that sort of folks at the end there. But I'll let you talk to Lizim about that finally.
I think we should probably get some of our members to help out with these extras that we're sticking into these videos.
I think that's a really good idea.
It's very Blue Peter at the moment. So you can see there that salt is something that the king grew to understand was absolutely essential to his happiness. And of course, he only realized that when he fell out with his daughter.
Yeah, and ironically, he didn't just go off. She didn't just go off into the forest and was never seen again. She went off into the forest and married a merchant, which again seemed almost almost a relevant part to the story, given that salt we use salt and pepper for trading. And why pepper, Elysium? Where does pepper come from?
Oh, okay. So we realized, didn't we, that we'd got this thing called salt, and there were units of salt, but that those units of salt would need to be broken down into smaller pieces, and we didn't really know what to call them. Obviously, in the British fiat currency system, we have pounds and pence, and we were like, salt and grains. Well, it ended up being salt and pepper, so that the smaller units of currency were represented in pepper. And I think it's quite nice, actually, to show that we are representing everyday items. Salt and pepper are not out of the realms of possibility for most people. Hopefully, most people can afford to keep salt and pepper in their houses to enhance their food flavors, enhance their cooking, and make their lives a tastier place. So that really is where the idea of salt and pepper came from.
And do people value salt and pepper? I mean, can they really use it? Do you have salt and pepper? And Where can I use it?
You know I have salt and pepper because I have not stopped going.
I have to give you a chance to tell everybody, because those who aren't on Twitter watching this video won't have seen your many tweets on the subject.
I know I shouldn't be like surprised, but it's amazing when I check my wallet balance and then suddenly, ta-da! I have more wealth in my back pocket. So I started off with 20 salt, just like everybody else who signs up to the platform. And now I am so excited to announce that my balance is a whopping 188 and 26 salt and pepper. So this is amazing. This has gone up. I've accumulated this wealth through interacting with other people on the site, through my videos, my Elysian videos being uploaded, through commenting, chatting, my profile having its picture, and being active on the site. It really has been amazing to see how quickly and how easily it has been to accumulate that value. So it's very cool. And yes, okay, maybe I have been chucking tweets out showing everybody, look, I've got this much salt and pepper. And the funny thing is that people seem to be very happy for me, even though they perhaps don't understand what this means. But it is cool. I'm going to accumulate until I get to a point where I want to exchange that value with somebody else for either goods or services. So I might decide that I have written a short story, for example, and I need an editor to polish it. Or in fact, I have a rusty old novel somewhere, which is disintegrating in a drawer. And it would be amazing to have somebody work through that with me and have a proper editor who is competent and ready to go through it and to guide me to get it up to scratch. I can do that. And it's wonderful that the way that I've been accumulating that has not just given me value in my digital wallet, but it's also given me value in so many other ways. Now, I don't want to sound too cheesy about this, but the way that I've been accumulating my salt is by going into the caves on Scribal and reading some of the amazing poetry that is up there. There's haiku caves, there's a poetry cave, and I'm working my way through different caves, okay? It's just amazing. I feel so lucky to be able to read all of this incredible poetry and to be able to interact with the people that have written it.
And to write your own, because I saw you got the haiku level 1 badge.
I know. Look, I like writing, okay, but this isn't a show about me and the stuff that I've done. It's amazing watching other people shine. It's such a beautiful, it's a really, really cool thing. It's awesome.
It's a wonderful community. I think, you touched on this earlier. When we wrote the theory, it was theory. What we've ended up with is I've been involved in communities a long time. And this is the kindest, most collaborative, most wonderfully tight-knit community I've ever been involved with. And they don't just interact on Scribal, they interact elsewhere. You go onto Twitter and you see that they're all interacting within their own little group within Twitter as well. And doing so in such a wonderful way. It is absolutely free to join. There are no strings attached. You do get 20 salt and pepper when you join, and which you talked about. And yeah, true, at the moment, it's only spendable in that one place within Scribal, but we've got big plans that this time next year we will have between 8 and 10 communities, and those communities will grow and grow and grow and grow. And that salt and pepper will be able to you'll be able to spend that across all of the communities. So you'll be able to take it outside of Scribal. And don't think that Scribal is just for writers or just for poets. It's absolutely not. If you're somebody who enjoys reading, we want you on there. We definitely want to see you there. If you're just intrigued or interested, join. It's free. What can you lose? It's just a really nice group of people. If you're a keen photographer, we're starting to see some lovely photos being posted in one of the caves, the campfire cave. And I know some of my dear friends from Twitter who are really good at photography, and I won't embarrass them by naming them, but you know who you are. They've already joined, and we have already seen some lovely pictures posted. We want to see editors and people who are involved in the publishing industry, illustrators, book cover designers, etc. We want to see those because we've got the collaborative tools coming through, which we'll talk about a little bit more towards the end of this recording. And I know that we had a very, very good editor join this week. Again, I won't mention her name and embarrass her, but you know who you are. So yeah, it's just really wonderful to see these people coming together, and we have seen some trades with Salt and Pepper already, and it's very easy to move the currency backwards and forwards. And you're not actually, to be fair to you, you're not the only one who checks and talks about Salt and Pepper. I actually have had a few conversations with other members who come to me and say, oh, I've got this Salt and Pepper. Of course, it also goes down. It's important to add, if you're doing things, it goes up. If you cease being active, if you're not doing anything, the level of Salt and Pepper goes down.
We should probably talk about what happens when Salt and Pepper decreases, because it's right. If you're inactive on the site, your balance is going to dwindle, which, you know, is kind of fair. But something very exciting happens to that depreciated currency, doesn't it, Andrew? Do you want to talk about how it's recycled?
Yeah, so for those who watched last week, we talked about how you can't lose energy. Energy just changes its state. Well, because Salt and Pepper is effectively tied directly to energy, you can't lose Salt and Pepper either. So when it decreases from your account, it doesn't disappear, it goes into a social fund. So what we're doing is we're creating a social fund whereby any depreciated Salt and Pepper goes into this fund and then can be put back out to people who need it, so that we never have a situation where anyone is ever in a needy position. And going forward in time, when we're trying to help communities that are in perhaps poverty-stricken areas, or communities of people who previously traditionally have not been paid as much as they should for their skills, we want to support those communities. We want to support people in general, and looking forward to the future with YouTopian having grown a little bit, it would be good to have that social fund and to be able to share those funds out to help others.
I love it. It's a great way of recycling wealth, which clearly isn't required, because otherwise the people would be on there and being active. So yeah, I really love that idea. We should maybe, can we talk about some of the exciting developments that are happening in the world of YouTopian at the moment? Because I know that you guys have been so busy behind the scenes. Both you and Shoaib have been creating a phenomenal, powerful tool, which is going to make collaboration and being remunerated for your collaboration even easier. Can you give us a hint about what you've been doing?
We started formal testing yesterday, actually. We are tweaking a few parts of the product at the moment, but again, just to reiterate, everything that you get within a YouTopian community is free. We're not charging anybody anything for using this. And it is an exciting tool, because I know a lot of people in the publishing industry will find it very useful, but it would have its uses outside of publishing too. You know, we'll be able to use this in other communities across the board. But to give you an example, and I think this may be an example that we touched on in other videos, but and it actually goes quite nicely with you and your novel. So when you come to do your novel, you might open it up within the collaborative tool initially with just some milestones for yourself. So you can set up milestones within the tool, and your milestones might be complete this number of words by this, whatever. But then you might bring in some other people from within your community to work with you. So you might have a cover designer, you might have an editor, you might have an illustrator if it's an illustrated novel, happens. What you can actually do is, through the collaborative tools, you can set up all the milestones for all the different people who are involved. You can edit it, delete it, add people, remove people, but the people that you bring in and give tasks, they can come in, they can put notes against their tasks, they can put the number of hours it's taken them, And you can actually also organize payments through the tool. They can be scheduled payments or payments that are goal driven. So you complete a goal and you trigger a payment. Now, at the moment, the collaborative tool only works with salt and pepper payments, but once we have it working fully and properly with that, we will make the payment system hybrid. So you'll be able to use cash or salt and pepper, and eventually also things like Apple Pay and even cryptocurrency. So this is a very powerful project management tool, but it's not a heavyweight one. You know, you can go onto the internet and find dozens of really heavyweight collaborative project management tools, which you'll have to sit down and learn and will take time. This is a very, very simple product to use. When you first go in, you say, right, I want to add a product. And it literally takes you through a wizard step by step into creating your project. And within 10 minutes, you'll know how to use it, and you'll be doing your own thing.
We were testing it yesterday, weren't we? Setting up different projects and assigning tasks to each other, and it's really easy to use. It's amazing. I have used different project management tools in the past, and they're not always that easy to use. It might, I'm sure they're very powerful, but actually I found that this was refreshing because it was simple, and I could lay out what needed to be done, assign the tasks to different people, and then you can tick them off when they're completed, like you said. So it's an awesome tool. And one of the uses for Utopian that we've talked about is as an intranet for a company. So, of course, obviously, it's got the capacity to store files and share files, and for people to have profiles and to interact with each other, and to do that by accumulating salt and pepper as well. But actually, a tool like this on an intranet is pretty awesome. I can imagine that would be very, very useful indeed. That's just another example of how it could be used, and there are many, many more.
Yeah, it's interesting that you should mention the intranet example while we're talking about salt and pepper, because that's something we touched on in the past, is that what you effectively get using Utopian communities within an intranet environment is something that's naturally engaging. So one of the big problems you have when you introduce systems normally to a company is getting the staff to be engaged, getting them to adopt the software. But if they're being paid in salt and pepper, literally for doing their job on the system, but then they can actually also go off and use that salt and pepper in other communities to buy books, to buy photography, to buy pictures, to buy potentially some coaching or whatever. That makes it a really, really good engagement tool. But as you rightly say, of course, the collaborative tools add another layer to the intranet as a business solution, because you've not only got an instant messenger, the ability to store files, the ability to keep profiles, the ability to keep up an up-to-date picture for your clients, but you've also got a project management tool as well now. So yeah, as an intranet tool, it's very powerful.
It's awesome. So I am excited about this coming into fruition over the next few weeks, and we will, of course, keep you posted.
And don't forget the games. Games are coming.
I know, right? Awesome. So we were talking about how to further enhance people's user experience and how to enhance engagement. And engagement is already very, very high. It's very successful. We had, I checked the other day, there was an average time that people were spending online of 28 minutes, was it? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was high, and page loads actually rose over Christmas, which was surprising, to be honest.
Oh yeah, we should show that. Have we got here we go, an image of the usage statistics, the analytics of over the last few weeks. We expected a big drop during the Christmas time, but actually we've seen quite the opposite, where things are just getting more and more intense. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, and I think if any people are out there being a bit skeptical because we're showing page loads in that diagram or that graph, I can tell you that if actually you look at session loads or sessions, it's actually the same. The graph looks very, very similar.
It's really, really good. And I can tell as well that people are checking their Scribal community when they wake up first thing in the morning. You know, it's become one of the first things on the list to check. I suppose people are checking their Facebook and their Twitter account and whatever other social medias, but also people are jumping on Scribal to see what's happening. So that's very cool. But the games, this is going to be awesome. So we realized that we didn't want people to take their time too seriously, to be able to have a bit of fun while they were interacting. And so one of the first games that is being developed is like a fridge magnet poetry game, to go onto Scribal, to get people to play around and to be able to demonstrate their creations. It's just another medium of writing, really.
Yeah, and you'll have to buy your words, and you'll be able to buy packs according to whether the words are rare or old or new or already a poem or whatever. And of course, you'll be able to buy them with salt and pepper. So there you go, somewhere to spend your salt and pepper. But all sorts of interesting ideas where that could go in the future with environments and places you can go and explore and all sorts of things. So yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
So I think, Andrew, that there is just enough time for me to thank people for liking, subscribing, and putting the alert notification on so that you never miss an episode. And don't forget, if you like this channel, don't tell me, tell your friends. I'll see you next time.